Well, thank you for coming on the Red Carpet Roundtable.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Let's dig into what got you into this crazy entertainment industry.
What got me into it? I think the name says it all, entertainment. I think at a very young age, I realized that I enjoyed, um, I guess, having people feel like
Hmm.
basically what I was doing, whether it was like performing on a table at a family reunion, like making up a skit, or doing like a school play in fifth grade and having people laugh because, I'm one of the evil stepsisters in Cinderella and I'm just, and then getting into the dramatic arts in high school and being able to work more in the like darker, deeper depth of feeling areas and having people like get emotional and cry and connect to material there. And then going into film and being able to expand the audience because really you
Right.
get a film distributed and you can reach like an entire country, if people are watching your movies. So it's really about, yeah, connecting with people and
Okay.
connecting through
Very
feeling.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally understand. What
Hmm.
is your why?
My why. I think there's a personal why for me and then like a bigger why for everybody else. So
Okay.
for me, the why is that I feel like acting in particular and filmmaking is a way for me to develop empathy in a world where, I live in a very like modest, middle class white Indiana, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm not a world traveler per se, but I can step into different women's shoes, different people's shoes through this art of acting and filmmaking. And also the crews that I work on are very diverse. And, you get to learn about different people outside of the storytelling aspect of filmmaking. And so for me, it's really about understanding and learning about people that are different than me or
Hmm.
people who are the same. And that's nice. And then in a broader sense, the why is really about just connecting our world. And like, I feel like storytelling is one of the most traditional, truest forms of connecting.
Hmm.
And it can be very simple, but it can really communicate what matters through a story. And I feel like filmmaking and movies are just that to me. It's sharing stories, sharing everybody's story that you care about and want to tell through film. So yeah.
Oh wow, you have two whys. This is really good.
Why
No,
not?
it's really good. Now let's get into your acting. Do you have
Sure.
any upcoming projects that you can talk about?
Sure. um, we just wrapped one. Actually, I was the writer, director, and one of the lead actors on it. And the reason it's called The Tree Falls in the Forest, it's very practical, but also metaphorical, that title. But that one I was a lead actor in, as well as another young actress. And it's a parallel story and the stories merge at the end and it's very exciting. It's a survival film, so it's a lot of like intense drama. And we just wrapped that like a few days ago. It was intense, so that'll be launched. The marketing for that film will be launched in March of 2020. What is it? 2025. So 2026.
Six, yeah.
We should be finished editing it in November ish
And
of
it's
this
called
year.
Tree Fall?
A Tree Falls in the Forest.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have a film out on its theatrical run right now called Extraction USA. It's a pool hustling heist crime movie. So it's got a lot of action and intrigue and some romance there. So we
Hmm.
have some theaters playing that this June. So we're really excited about that. And it's
Wow.
on Prime and Tubi. So you can watch it, in the comfort of your own home.
Congratulations.
I'm trying to think what else I've got. I have a film called M30 OXY. It
Okay.
just went to Cannes, actually. It didn't screen there, but it was a part of the market. And it's a Kentucky based crime like movie. And my character, Numi, is like she's the drug lord's hit woman. You know, she goes in and takes care of business, but it's actually based on loosely based on some true events that happened in Kentucky during COVID. So, really, you just need to Google me. It sounds really vain, but if you Google Leanne Johnson movies, you'll get my whole IMDb
Right.
profile. I have over 60 credits right now
Hmm.
for film and television.
That's
I've been doing
absolutely
this for,
amazing.
yeah, it's been a lot of
So
hustle,
I want to dig into a little
Yeah.
bit about you said you're a director and you're an actress.
Yes.
How do you like doing both? Because I know a lot.
Mm.
Don't quote me because I think most actors and actors they don't like to do both because it's difficult, and there's some that like to do both. So your
Yeah.
own personal view, what is your opinion? And we'll go from there.
I really like acting, directing. So I also have acted and produced, and I've also acted and been a writer and a producer on projects before. I think most of us in the independent film circles have to wear multiple hats, otherwise the film won't get done. So at some level, an actor's like, I guess I better learn how to produce because like I'm gonna have to help get this movie made. Or share it in distribution and whatnot.
Okay. Right.
But I basically have like a very two parts of my personality. I'm actually half German and half Irish. So I'm very diligent and hardworking. I also like to party. So I feel like this one part of me is very like organized and structural and like methodical, problem solving, like, adaptable to like, hey, we have to figure out a solution. This is what we need to do to get things done, make decisions. And then this other side of me is very like creative and like willy-nilly, like very much like, what did you say? Like I'm not with you right now. I'm thinking about, this feelings and emotions and that world, like the heart center, not so much the mind center. And so when I'm doing a crew role, like acting or directing
Mhm.
or producing and acting, I'm able to work both of my brain power mechanisms. And so I feel really balanced when I'm participating in a film in a different capacity. And it could be I'm just the writer or, a supervising producer. I don't have to have an active crew job. But the I guess the vision is what's the most important for me. So if I'm involved in the film in a different capacity other than acting, I have a more comprehensive scope and vision for the project. And so then I want to help make sure that we follow through with that. But I would say acting is like art. It's like painting or singing or, what, I don't know what kind of art you enjoy. Like, what do you like to do that doesn't, that you just have fun doing?
I mean, it depends. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I like art, but I
Hmm.
like to just, you know, I don't know, it's just, that's a really good question, to be honest, because, I love watching movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Sure.
I think it's not an art. It's like, I like to watch comedy and action movies. It's kind of weird.
Hmm.
The action movie kind of makes me relax.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, if you're kind of like frustrated, or you're like anxiety, I think it
Hmm.
actually calms me down a little bit because it's
Sure.
like you can sit there and you're glued. There's no commercial. You're watching
Yeah.
the movie, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you can make your own popcorn, and
Yeah.
I, it helps me. So I think,
Mhm.
is there an art view? No, I don't do art, but I love like watching like
Gotcha.
people's work and people's art
Yeah.
because
That's amazing.
I think it helps me. And I
Yeah.
like to study films. Like, when you watch like Tom Cruise Top Gun that's already on TV, like you're kind of like, wow, that's crazy, all these stunt moves they do, and you're like,
Yeah.
you kind of get so glued to the scenes. You're kind of like,
Mhm.
wow, that's a really good camera angle, or
Yeah.
wow, I didn't know they can do that, or do this and do that, and and you think about it, and it's like, wow, it makes you wonder how many times they had to practice that and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, but to
He
it,
jumped off the building six
yeah, I
times,
know it's
to get
crazy.
the.
I would not do that, but
Oh, I
I
totally
heard,
would.
I heard he does his own stunts.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
he's legit.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. He's crazy. I'm kind of sad that this is the last Mission Impossible movie.
Is it really though? Come
I don't
on.
know. We'll see.
Well, we'll see.
You're right.
And that's interesting because, like, you're a consumer of art. So I was curious because I was like, what kind of art do you like to put out into the world? And so I guess what I was trying to understand was, an artist, like acting is like an art, but in order to show your art, you also have to learn how to produce and manage and direct. Like you might have to show
Right,
your piece of
right.
art, you might have to, figure out how to get it to a gallery or put on your own show. So at some level, I feel like the artist brain and the business brain has to like coincide in this industry.
Yes, and
But
that's
that's kind of what I was guess meaning to say.
no, no, you're okay.
Yeah.
That's one thing I love about the entertainment industry because you meet people on Instagram and
Yeah.
all the
True.
actors and directors and producers and music and everybody. And it's amazing that you meet so many people in person
Mm-hmm.
through social media and it's a support. And you find out
Mm,
this is what they like to do, this is kind of their artwork or what ideas, and they give you help too. And they're like, maybe you want to do this, let's do this. Or
yeah.
I think that's it's not, I think it's one thing I love about the entertainment industry because we all are family and we all support each
Yeah.
other. And it's like
Yeah.
we give help, but also I think it's not I think, but it's helping your local community for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it doesn't matter where we live. It's like a lot of young kids out there, they want to get in the entertainment industry and they're like,
Yeah.
what can I do? What
Right.
should I do? How
Right.
do I do it?
Right.
And I think I keep saying I think it's not, but it's what we need, what you should do is like start an Instagram page and then make friends to
Mhm.
make a YouTube video or a short video on
Sure.
Instagram and get yourself
Yeah.
out there and start connecting to your local actors and that community and then grow from there. And that's
Yeah.
one thing I great about the entertainment industry is like if your local state has some local film that you can
Mhm.
connect to, independent films, and say,
Yeah.
and then you get connections somehow, and they're like, "Hey, we're looking for somebody on extra on a set," and you could be there for
Yeah.
30 minutes. 30 minutes, you're like, "Why do I have to drive 2 hours for 30 minutes?" It's like, well, do it anyways,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because that's how you make connection, right? Because you're on
Mhm.
set for 30 minutes. You may not be there only for 30 minutes, maybe longer. And you
Yeah.
realize the connections you're making, connections, and connections. And then
Right.
you're like, wow, I made so many people. And you're like, wow, this, for example, 2 hour drive was not worthless, and you're kind of like, and then
Mhm.
they get a
Mhm.
hold of you and they're like, hey, I'm making a film, over the
Right.
weekend or something like that. I want you to
Yeah.
come, I'm looking for people. And
Yeah.
that's one thing about the entertainment industry. It's like from each state that you can grow, and it's
Mhm.
helping the community because like a lot of young actors who are getting out of high school who don't want to go to college, for example, for acting,
Right.
they want to
Right.
get into the entertainment industry, and they're like, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
I want to see myself on screen. I want to see
Yeah.
myself on TV or
Sure.
YouTube doing all this
Yeah.
stuff, and that's empowering and passion
Yes.
about the local
Yeah.
community.
Absolutely. I love that. So true.
Yes, 100%. What is the best advice you ever heard or received?
Oh wow. Um, You know what? I'm not going to talk about the project, but I will say it was actually a director friend who gave me some of the most critical and important advice. I had attempted to direct my first feature a few years ago, and this one that I just directed, I wrote and we had the IP secured and everything, but there
Hmm.
was an issue right before we went into booking everybody's flights where it came to light that we did not have the intellectual property rights for the script. And I was working with the writer and the executive producer for a year. And so, trusted that everything was fine. But lo and behold, it was not. And if we would have went into production, there would have been a lot of liability issues and it would have not been good for anybody. So I was very frustrated and I called him up and I asked him, I said, his name is Joth Riggs. And I said, Joth, what do I do? And he told me, he's like, Leanne, it's your fault. And I was like, yeah. He's like, you're the director, you're the leader. You needed to make sure everything was rock solid, not just word of, like, you need to make sure everybody has signed everything. And it was the one thing I didn't have signed because there was a trust relationship there. And, I learned, and he told me that. And so I was like, you're right, it is. And so I called everybody on my team and I said, this is the situation. Ultimately, it's, I take responsibility for this and I'm so sorry. And that response, even though that was very difficult, because I felt very hurt by what had happened, because I had placed my trust in someone. And as difficult as that was, it was very humbling. And the result of it was that the people on my team recognized that I was humbling myself and taking accountability for this and owning it. And when I just finished my directorial debut, I had the same producer from that project on this project who put his faith in me to get this done. And, so at the time, it really felt like a loss. At the time, it felt like, this is horrible. But now, coming out of it, having directed my own feature with the same producer and people being willing to hop in, it was very rewarding to know that as a leader, as someone in the industry, if you're wanting to make a difference or make a change, you have to have humility and you have to own your mistakes. And it's not weakness as a leader to say, I made a mistake, I was wrong. It's weakness to lie and try to not be honest when you need help or when you've done something wrong. And so I feel like that was some of the most critical advice, was basically like, it's your fault, own up to it. And I was like, that's what I did. So thank you, Joth Riggs. I've now directed a feature film and it went great.
Good. Another deep question is, what is your biggest pivot in life?
My biggest pivot. Oh, wow. I think I'm going through a really big pivot right now. I feel like there's personal pivots and then there's professional pivots. And so I'm going through a big personal pivot right now in my life, which I think we all get to a certain point in our life where we have to kind of look at ourselves honestly. And we say, okay, do I want to spend the rest of my other half of my life this way, or am I going to make a change? And I think, like, personally, that's where I'm at, without getting into too much detail because we just met. But professionally,
No, I totally understand.
Yeah. This turns into like a whole therapy session. Professionally, I think this recent experience as an actor director really gave me a lot of confidence, and I felt very at peace, and it felt very natural to direct. And in terms of this film in particular, it was one that I wrote. So I don't know how it would be like to direct somebody else's project, but I do feel like I see the story and I am willing to do what is necessary to follow it through. And it was very freeing for me to realize, oh, wow, I could actually, I could do this again. And I direct, produce, I've done production assistant work. I've been second AD, first AD. I've helped in several different departments. But I think it opened up a whole new world for me, being an experienced actor and also having that director mindset. So we'll see what possibilities or opportunities come about from somebody who
Right.
might have a great script. They might be a producer, but they need a director, and they feel like I might be the right fit. I would definitely explore doing that in the future, I think. So
Wow, that's
that may
amazing.
be a pivot that is in the process of happening, or
Wow,
who
you
knows?
have two pivots going on in your life.
Personal and professional. Yeah,
Yes.
never a dull moment.
Right. Right. And I totally understand, we just met,
Mhm.
personal is personal, right? But you're just going through a lot. That's
Yeah.
amazing, and
Mhm.
everybody has their stories about
That's right.
pivots. And
Yes.
it's really powerful when you hear about it later on, what they went
You will
through.
hear about it later on. Once it's pivoted, I'm sure it will come out in another movie down the road.
That's what
I'll
they
write
all
it.
say. That's what they all say, and then it does come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you could go back in time and spend one day with anyone who's famous in history, who would it be?
If I could go back and can they still be alive or do they have to be dead?
Okay, if they're alive now, yeah.
I was like, who would I want to spend like if they were dead? I was like, I don't know. Um uh, I would really, really love to have she's still alive. But the actress and bless her, Helen Mirren, she is an iconic woman in the industry. I felt like she really entered the industry at a time where there weren't a lot of female empowered roles, and she, came out with the Prime Suspect, playing a female detective in a very male dominated society, and in the industry, as a detective. And just her career and her filmography and her versatility and just what she did, um, is just it's remarkable to me. I don't think she's had a bit of plastic surgery done. She's just owned her aging process, which I think is an incredible role modeling example for people in the industry. And yeah, she's just someone I'd love to have an hour with and just have tea. I don't even really drink tea, but I would drink tea with Helen Mirren because she's English.
Mhm.
And it'd be like, just impart wisdom on me, Helen. I
Right.
feel like
Okay.
she's just one of those people who has experienced a lot of life. So if she does end up watching this, yes, Helen, I will have tea with you anytime you want.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is the most challenged role you ever taken?
Wow. That is a tough question because each role has different challenges. It could be physical, emotional, um, personal. The most challenging.
Or which role really deeply affected you?
I feel like all of them, but that's a horrible answer. So let me. I'll pick one because you can go watch it, of course. So my most recent film that's out right now and that you can go watch, Extraction USA, is a really fantastic film. It was a
Hmm.
directorial debut film by Mike Yance. It was filmed exclusively in Indiana on a micro budget. I produced
Hmm.
it from script to screen. I also played the lead, Marnie. And it's about a single mom, and she's trying to survive in this like oil town, and she's facing a lot of obstacles, and then she meets someone, and like every good anti-hero story, they try to break the law to come out on top. But when when I was reading the script, when Mike pitched it to me, I was like, I really found myself relating to her. And in terms of like her choices and what she decides to do in life, some of them are very questionable, but I really found myself being like, what would I do if I was in her shoes and I was in this circumstances? And I felt like it was very honest and authentic and real. And so I told Mike, I said, yeah, I'm totally in, I'm going to do this. And we helped produce it. And we didn't have much, but along the way in prepping for this role and in producing the film, I learned the power of teamwork, asking for help, humility, um, gratitude, people coming to support the project financially or just donating resources or a truck or whatever. And we built such a strong family, a strong film family around the film. And we're still, going in, and we're going to be premiering it in a few theaters this month in June. And every time it's just like I'm spending time with family. It's friends that have now become family, and the relationships that I built on that
Hmm.
set and through the storytelling aspect really did deeply affect me and change me. And for the better, I felt like still now I have a greater sense of like what love is and how big love is and what we're willing to do for love and taking risks and allowing for ourselves to grow and change, even if it's scary. I feel like that story tells that, but I also experienced that in my own life. And so I would say most recently that was a character and film that impacted my life.
Wow. And I can tell it impacted you because you're talking so
Yeah.
passionate about it.
Yeah. 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 So thank you for
So,
asking.
um, what is your dream lead role?
Oh, I've already done it. Where do I go from here? No, seriously. I mean, getting paid to write, direct, act in a feature film. I mean, my like that is success to me. So
Hmm.
somebody offer me something better or the equivalent of that
Hmm.
because I feel very successful already. But this industry comes with waves and waves. But I feel like in independent film, as an independent filmmaker, actor, that I have done some of the most incredible roles. Knew Me in M30 OXY, which I mentioned, the Appalachian crime drama, is just such a dark but comedic and yet
Hmm.
mysterious character.
Okay.
And Wesley Mullins, the writer, and I co-wrote on the project, developed that character. And so to be able to script a character on paper and then bring them to life is like, whoa, and then to watch that and go, yes, that's who she is. I mean, these women that I'm playing that, we've written or done, it's just they're dynamic, they're multidimensional. They break out of stereotypes. So I feel like I Hollywood pitched me something better because independent filmmakers and writers and even on non-union projects are brilliant. There are
Hmm.
brilliantly scripted characters. And I have seen a lot of Hollywood films. And I would say that if Chloe Zhao wants to find me for one of her films like Nomadland, and I'm like, put me in your movie, like that is the type of realism and authenticity,
Hmm.
the type of roles that Frances McDermott does, the type of roles that Jennifer Lawrence did in Winter's Bone, the type of roles that like I don't know. It's like I want to play someone I've never played before. That's my
Okay.
next dream role.
Hmm.
I want to step into the shoes of someone's world I don't know. And I want to understand.
Hmm.
And then I want to bring myself and what I can with my strengths to that role to make that character different than anybody's ever seen.
Right.
So I don't know what that is. I don't know what that looks like. But if somebody's watching this podcast and they feel like they've got a character for me that's going to blow my mind, like I'm willing to hear about it. And I will commit fully to bringing that character to life
Right.
in a
You
memorable
never
way.
know. You never
Yeah,
know.
you never know,
You
right,
never know.
Steven? Hey, Steven. We
You
all
never
know
know.
Spielberg's like,
Seriously, you
yes.
never know. Um,
Tarantino does the same thing. He'll cast people he doesn't know. It's wild.
right. You never know. Anybody in the entertainment industry that will get your attention or like,
Yeah.
we're looking for people.
Give me something good. You got to challenge me. I've played a lot of great roles. Yeah.
So, what is your motivation message for all the young, upcoming young artists, producers, directors, actors, and actresses, etc., who want to get into this entertainment industry? And like and
Yeah.
like myself, it's not easy peasy, right? It's the
No. Mm-mm.
auditions. You have the auditions. You have being
Yeah.
on set. You know, you may be on set for 6 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours. So, what
Mhm.
is your motivation or your encouragement to those young out there who are, want to start when they're 7 years old or they want to start in
Yeah.
middle school and high school? What's your message to them?
I would say that, well, and it's interesting because you said like for someone who's a child or someone who's a teenager or someone who's an adult. And I'm trying to think like, would I say the same thing to those different demographics, or would I have
Hmm.
something different to say? And if there was like some kind of universal message that I feel like would be applicable, is I guess I would say have a vision. And I would say it in a different way depending on how what
Right, right.
stage of life this
Hmm.
this person is. For a child, I might say, go for your dream. Like, go for it. No regrets. Like, if you want something,
Go
go
for
for
it.
it.
100%.
And if you feel like, there's something impossible out there that it seems too hard for you to achieve, just think about, all of the people who were told that's impossible, you can't do that, and they did, and know that it is possible. And so reach for your dream. And then for adults, I think we start to kind of disconnect dreams from reality. And
Hmm.
that's where I would say, what's your vision? What is it that you want? Um, and like achieve that. What is the end goal? And like, I feel like if you if and again, yeah, just, I mean, it sounds really simple, but it's like, have a vision, go for your dreams. Like,
Yes.
I reflected on a high school journal that I had in like career and life management class in like my junior year, and it was like, what's your dream job? And I wrote actor. And I had, you know, my business skills told me that I would be good in these areas, and I have a degree in science and stuff like that, and I've done academics and athletics. But my dream goal, my dream job was always an actor. And people are like, that's, you're not doing that. And I realized, I have achieved my dream job. Like, that's pretty cool. Do I make a ton of money consistently? No. But it's like, I'm still living my dream. And I feel like what seemed impossible is possible, and I'm doing it. And I think that that's what I would tell anybody who's entering the industry, is like, if you have a dream, if you have a goal, if you have a vision, and you see yourself doing this, whether it's writing for big budget productions or acting in a film or on stage, just go for it. Just do it. And it is possible. And it might look different than your friend who has the same
Right.
dream, or your friend over here who has the
Hmm.
same dream. Um, and honestly, you have to release that and hold yourself to your own standard of success, and how that makes you feel and what that looks like for you. Because if we compare ourselves, we will be unhappy. And
Wow.
I think that if you're able to celebrate other people's dreams and other people's accomplishments, and look at yourself and what you've accomplished and where you are at, I think you will have that fulfillment and that happiness, and just being like, okay, their success looks different than my success, but we are both successful. And I think that, I think that that's, a key, is that our dreams fulfilled look different for each
Wow.
person. Yeah.
Everything you just said there was accurate.
Yeah.
Just cheer
Oh,
each
thanks.
other on. Keep that passion.
Of course. Yeah.
If you want to do it, you go for it.
That's
Can't
right.
is not a word. You can do
You've
it.
got to go for it,
Yeah. And
because at the end of the day, um, there's going to be times where you feel like you're doing it by yourself. You do feel isolated, or you feel like it's so hard. And remembering that there are others that are going through that same
mhm,
feeling and that same journey. And
very
sometimes
true.
you're going to be you know, somebody's going to be there to encourage you. Sometimes it's going to be a real dry, tough season, and you've got to keep going.
Surround
And
yourself people
yeah,
that support you
that's right. Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Encourages you and support you and
Yes.
motivate you. That's the
Yes.
people, we need to support us in our entertainment industry. And,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the one thing I'm going to go back to
Sure.
social media is, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people are like, oh, you can't be too glued to Instagram. And I'm like, yes
Yeah.
and no, right? But the one thing I want to say yes about is because you have that community support. You
Mm-hmm.
have that community
Yes.
support. All
Yeah.
right. Yes, you can spend less time on Instagram, right? But I
Yeah.
try, but I don't. But it's the truth. But you do have that community support
Yeah.
from actors and directors from other states, and they're
Mm-hmm.
following you and encourage you. That to me is another way of a community support. You have your own community,
Sure.
but you also have the worldwide entertainment industry and the
Yeah.
community supporting you. So
Absolutely.
you're,
Yeah, I
you know,
feel
you're,
like social media, you know, in terms of connection and even what you're doing with your show is really awesome because you're providing an opportunity to share stories in essence, and share who are the people behind these stories and
hmm
from different countries, different states, you know, from all over the world. And you're opening up a door and creating a bridge to connect people on social media. So, you know, that's really wonderful.
Well, I appreciate it from the bottom of my
Mhm.
heart. I say we because we, and myself, but we are here to tell stories.
Yeah.
We want the audience and every actor, director, etc. They all have a story,
Yeah.
what they why or what
Mhm.
got them into the entertainment industry, why they wanted to be a director, why do they want to tell a story, why do they want to tell this person's story, and you're absolutely
Mhm.
right, and you hear stories like I don't want to give up, I can't is not a word, you can do it, and you hear that and you see how far they go and you're like, wow, I'm so glad I didn't give up 2 years ago or 5 years ago because here I am now, and you
Mhm.
hear like, I didn't think this is how big the project would be.
Right.
This 5 years from now, I thought I was done. And it's funny, but it's kind of nothing because you're like, wow, what? And then you're like, wow, did you just get mind blown? And from
Mhm.
stories of all the independent filmmakers and people from Hollywood and independents and everybody. It's just you hear stories about how and what motivated them to be where they are, and it's like
Yeah.
almost everybody would say, keep going with your passion.
Yes. Yeah.
That's where you're going. This is your passion. You
Yeah.
keep going. Can't, it's not
Mhm.
a word, you just go for it. You just said it,
Mhm.
and that's
Yeah.
and you just go,
Mhm.
and it's just amazing the support you'll get. You'll be surprised.
Mhm. It's very
100%.
true.
Yes.
Yeah.
So keep it up. Don't give up. Everybody needs to get going.
Mhm. It's true.
So
So
a little
good.
bit about you. Um, what do you do like for fun when you're not? I know you're laughing. What do you do for fun?
What's
What I
that?
know. What do you do for fun when you're not acting, directing, writing? You have your own time to yourself.
So I have a degree in nutrition and food science as well. So I love being active. So yeah, so I like working out. I also am very good at roller skating. And I like to do that. There's a roller rink in town. I played roller derby for quite a while. And so I usually get scouted if I'm skating at a roller rink. They're like, hey, come play roller derby. And I was like, this is the moneymaker. I can't get this smashed in now. Like, if you know what I mean? Unless, you know, some Clint Eastwood wants to cast me in $1 million baby too, then I will definitely Hillary Swank it. Like I will, but but yeah, so I like to do that, and I like to go visit my friends. I live in the Midwest, so I have to travel everywhere for work or play.
Hmm.
Go to concerts. I like going to concerts and listening to live music. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, that's what I like
Um,
to do.
do you have any hidden talents that nobody know about except your family?
Any hidden talents? I know a lot. I know how to do a lot of really cool yo-yo tricks, but I don't even have a yo-yo right now. Like I couldn't even show you.
Oh,
Like I was like, when was the last time I had a yo-yo? But yeah, I used to like train when I was a little kid, for like some yo-yo competitions and stuff. So I can do some pretty mean tricks with the yo-yo.
you still
Uh,
can do it?
yeah, I can do a few. Maybe they're not as impressive as I thought they were. Now that I'm an adult, like all the kids are like, I can do that standing on my head, and I'm like, well, I don't know, like, but that's like a talent. Like people are like, oh, you can yo-yo? Like, yeah, I can yo-yo.
I feel like
That's probably like a
um
mildly hidden
I
talent that most people wouldn't know about.
I feel like yo-yo is not as popular as it used to be. Am I
No,
wrong?
it's no. What's wrong with people? Come on, yo-yos are awesome. But yeah,
So
that's probably a hidden talent that most people wouldn't know. Now they know on the podcast.
if you I have to talk bad about yo-yo for a minute. I'm sorry, but
Talk
I don't understand it. You just it goes like a string. It goes down and it comes back up. I don't.
I don't know. So maybe it's because our brains are different. Like I like swimming. It's a very monotonous, repetitive running. I can do the same thing or listen to the same song like 20 times. So maybe the yo-yo up and down and up and down, and I can see what I can do with it. Maybe there's something there. Maybe I'm,
I know. I don't worry. I've seen people do some cool yo-yo tricks. I'm just
yeah.
like, I didn't know you can do that. And they're like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. And then, you
So
try it
judgy.
and you're like, I'm trying. I just don't know how you did it. And they look at you like, ah, you're useless or something. I was like, what do you mean? I don't know. What do you mean? What's so cool? It's like,
Yeah. Well, there you go.
it's wow. Okay. And do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have an older sister. Yeah.
And is she in the entertainment industry?
No, she owns her own home organizing business. She lives in
Okay.
Canada. So that's where I'm originally from,
Oh,
actually.
wow.
Yeah, I'm a dual citizen. I'm Canadian American. So I can work in both states. Or both
Mm,
countries. That's something,
wow.
that's cool.
So since you,
Go
oh, go ahead.
ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, I was going on. But
Okay.
yeah, I have an older
Since you
sister.
mentioned Canada,
Yeah.
I'm going to dig into this a little bit.
Oh,
What's
take
the
away.
difference between Canada and the US entertainment industry?
Well, you know what? Vancouver is really considered like the Hollywood of Canada. I mean, I think it was like Ryan Gosling and
Hmm.
is from that area. And then I believe Ryan Reynolds also was Vancouver, like was where he started acting. Toronto and Montreal are also really big for filming in those areas. And Ottawa, like the French speaking countries, are
Hmm.
where they film like any really cold looking movie that's made in America was filmed in
Right,
Ottawa,
right.
Canada. Um, Best poutine there, by the way. But yeah, in terms of the entertainment industry, it's much more developed in the US. But I have yet to act in a project in Canada because I started my filmmaking and
Hmm.
acting career in the US. So I don't really know much about what it's like over up there north back home for what I do. So
Amazing. And my last question is, how does your
sure.
family feel about you being in the entertainment industry?
Oh my gosh. My mom's like my biggest fan. You know what I mean? Like, so she doesn't really understand everything that I do. She's just like, do you ever stop? Like, but then she's not surprised. She's like, I always knew you'd be trouble, so she like, I'm the youngest one and I was always the crazy one. So, like my parents knew growing up that I love to be bold and I love, I I didn't necessarily I wanted to always be bold and didn't fit into like that mold and didn't really care to fit into that mold. And so the arts and acting were really a great way for me to explore my
Mhm.
creative identity and like to express emotion and stuff like that. So I think my parents, like my, especially my mom now seeing what I'm doing, it's very natural. Like she's like, well, of course you're doing that now, and really supportive. And yeah, and like my family is just very, we've been doing it for a while. So they're like, what project is this? Like, they don't even know. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah. Like, so my film's in theaters. And they're like, okay, cool. So what coffee order do you want? Like, it's just so normal. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, we just got a distribution dealer. I just finished wrapping my directorial debut, and they're like, oh, way to go. All right. So are we going out for dinner tonight still? Or like, what? You know what I mean? Like, they're just like, and I think that a lot of my friends too, who aren't in the entertainment industry, like they're like, oh, you wrapped your movie. When can I see it? And you're like, probably a year from now. Like, it takes a while.
Yeah, and they get disappointed.
Yeah, they're like, what do you mean it's not out yet? Didn't you finish it yesterday? And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, or they just don't get it. Like they're like, I'm like, yeah, I was acting on a set. I did Chicago PD. And they're like, what is that exactly? Like, I'm like, it's just a major network TV show. And they're like, oh, okay. So I went to the mall yesterday and I was like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just like real life. We're in the
Right.
entertainment industry and people watch movies and they consume it, but they're not invested in the level that we
It
are
hits
invested.
them when they see you on TV.
Yeah, then they'll call me. Leanne, oh my gosh, like I saw you in that movie on Lifetime and like it was so cool. And I'm like, awesome. Who are you again? Like, what,
And you're like, I
how
told
did
you
you get
about that
this number?
movie. I'm like, I told you about that movie a year ago. Oh yeah, okay, you're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
Yeah.
I
Or
You did tell me.
your grandparents are like, oh, that's so sweet, honey. Okay. Good for you. Like, that's all good.
Until they see you, and then they go
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. And I think honestly, like when you're in the industry and it's like it becomes more of a normal thing, like you talk to people and they're like, what do you do for a job? I'm like, I'm an actor and filmmaker. And they're like, what? Like, well, what does that mean? And they're like, either they're really intrigued or they're totally like, I don't get it. Like, why would you do that? But yeah, it's awesome to connect on platforms like this. And you're obviously like super excited about film and like that's awesome. So thank you for being so supportive of the arts. This is really great.
So amazing. You're absolutely right. Everybody's like, huh? What? What happened?
Yeah.
What? It's like, oh, okay. And then they reach out to you like, oh, we know what you're talking about, Chicago PD. Oh, okay. Oh, wait, we did
Yes.
see you. Oh, okay. Or they
Yes.
call you
Yeah.
that night when you're watching
Yes.
it too, and
That's
you're like,
happened.
okay, I don't think
Yeah.
the phone's gonna ring. That's okay. And then
Yeah.
the phone rings. I saw you, I saw you, I saw you. And they're like, what, what, what?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. It's,
they take a screenshot and they tag social
yes,
media
they
and they're like,
do.
here,
It's
this is my
great.
friend. And everybody's
Yeah.
like, what? And you're like, everybody's like, who? What? So you're
Yeah.
right. It's
Yeah.
like the family is like the first probably. They're like the parents are like, we saw you. When they go really
Mhm.
crazy, and then they tell their
Yeah.
family and their friends, and then the
Yeah.
parents' friends, and they're like, "We need to meet your daughter or somebody," and they're like, "What?" And then you're like,
Actually, more people are intimidated than it's so interesting. Like, yeah, I found that to be an interesting experience. Like, people are more like, if they find out you're in something, they're like, oh, I don't know, like, can I talk to you? Or like, I'm not like, like, I feel like, and I'm not a celebrity at all, but I feel like celebrities, I feel like I will feel like a celebrity when somebody I don't know in an airport. Okay, here, I'll state this now. The point I will feel like I've achieved celebrity status, regardless of like whatever film it is, that somebody comes up to me randomly in an airport when I'm traveling, go, I'm sorry. Were you in that movie? Like, I will be like, yes, I was. And I will like, I will be like, okay, I'm celebrity status achieved. A random person in an airport came up to me and like, but I feel like celebrities on the whole are so immersed in this industry that like, it's just very normal for them. And so
mm-hmm,
that's why like paparazzi and people fangirling and fanboying after them is so weird because they've been doing it for so long. And it's just kind of like, this is my job, you know?
right.
So that's kind of level.
people get it, but they're
Yeah.
like, you do what? What again?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me. I had a blast.
Yeah, and I would love to have you back on again in the future.
Of course. Yeah. Next crazy filmmaking venture, we'll see. Well, the year ago from the life pivot, what's happened
Hmm.
since then, you never
Hmm.
know.
And
But yeah,
we'll definitely stay in touch. I appreciate you
sounds
coming
great.
on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
You too. Bye bye.